Buying a car in Carvana was so easy. I was able to finance it through them.
Whoa, wait, you mean finance?
Yeah, finance. Got pre-qualified for a Carvana auto loan, entered my terms, and shot from thousands of great car options all within my budget.
That's cool, but financing through Carvana was so easy.
Financed. Done. And I get to pick up my car from their Carvana vending machine tomorrow.
Financed.
Right, that's what I said.
You can spend time trying to pronounce financing, or you can actually finance and buy your car today on
Carvana.
Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
I'm Gary Birtles, one of the old gits from a long time ago. You've got to tune into Tricky Talks, I believe, so just do it. All the best.
Robertson, the first time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robertson do. And still Robertson, getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
Hello, welcome to the Tricky Talks podcast. Coming up on the show this week, we'll share with you our early impressions of Ange, Forest being gunned down by Arsenal, and we'll look forward to a trip to Swansea in the Carabao Cup. Delighted to be joined, as always, by Chels. How you doing, mate?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. How are you, Simon?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And Kate is here too. How are you doing, Kate, mate?
I am good. Yeah, still a little bit weary from the weekend, but good.
And last but not least, Mollo Molloson. How are you doing, sir? Or mate, I should say.
What we do, mate. All good. Except for what happened on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll get onto that in a moment. But as you can guess, we're paying homage to Ange, our new boss, by calling everybody mate. So let's get on straight on to that, actually, in terms of your first impressions. He's been in post for just about a week now. Start with you, Chels. Actually, before I do that, there's been a lot going on in the last week, hasn't there? It's been a difficult week with all the upheaval around changing manager. He's only taken one training session with the first team squad as a whole, I believe. Players are returning after a busy international break. He's not had no time to implement his new style of play yet on the squad. You've had the injury to Aina, and Zinchenko was ineligible to face Arsenal. So there's been a huge amount going on, which he's had to take on board. So I'm not surprised at the performance of Arsenal. Like I said, we'll come on to that. But Chels, what were your first impressions over the first week of the Ange era?
It's one of them things where I literally have no idea at this point. I remember him saying that, in one of the interviews, that it has been a very disruptive couple of weeks for the players. And he has been thrown in, and he has right, what can I do? He needs to implement his style of play. Players need to get to know him, and vice versa. I think, just like Cooper, Nuno had a very strong place in all of our hearts, and him going, it really did hit home. But then I do have to look again back, like Cooper. Nuno then came in and we were like, don't know about this, because how much we adored Cooper and what he'd done for the club. And did we all think that Nuno was going to even match what Cooper did? No, I didn't. Whereas he did, and then some. So we've got to give credit where credit's due and give him the benefit of the doubt and just see what he can do for the club. And like he said, I think what was his comment that he made? That it'll all be sorted by Wednesday, I think was his comment. And I thought, okay, proof is in the pudding.
It's funny you should say that, actually, Chels, because we have that exact clip, which I'm going to play for everybody now.
Oh no, mate! No, it won't be months. It won't be weeks. It'll be Wednesday. I can't afford to waste time. This is not a project. This football club had a strong season last year. It needs to be stronger this year. My job is to get us to where I want us as quickly as possible. So, by Wednesday night we start seeing, some real principles being embedded. It won't take long, and I'm not going to let it take long. I'll make sure that we turn it around, because we've got an unbelievable opportunity this year to make an impact, and I'm not going to let that slip.
So, Kate, you were quite keen for us to play that clip as part of the show, weren't you, this week? Did it pique your interest in terms of what he had to say there?
I liked it as a response to, because it was in the press conference after Arsenal. I liked that he wasn't really making excuses. He did talk about there only being the one training session and that kind of thing. But I like that he was saying, OK, we're done with that now. We move on to Wednesday. And I think the fact that he's saying Wednesday is important as well, because Wednesday is a game where we're in the Carabao Cup. It wouldn't necessarily be a priority. I think a lot of people are expecting to see second string, players off the bench. Having heard that clip and thought about it a little bit more, I'm not so sure that is what we're going to see. And he talks the talk. Let's see if he walks the walk.
I mean, you say he talks the talk. I personally have been quite impressed with the way he's approached the job in the media. In all of the interviews, he comes across very well. He comes across very positive. There's no doubt he sees this as a massive opportunity, and there's no doubt that he wants to give his best for the job. Do you think he's been up against it, though, Mollo Molloson, in that first week?
Yes, mate.
What were your expectations in the first week? Obviously, the game we'll come on to in a moment, but it was as I said, it was a really hard and difficult first week. What were your expectations leading into the Arsenal game, having seen his and heard about his appointment and seen him on the media throughout the week?
I think what I expected is what I saw. The players did give everything for him, and we'll talk about that specifically later. However, I had no expectation at this point. You can't make a difference on one training session other than a couple of tweaks, especially when your philosophy is so different from the previous guy. I think he's already alluded to the fact that he more or less let them play a style they understood, albeit that we are slightly different this season anyway, so it was more attempting to be Brentford style than what we were last season, against Brentford, sorry, although against a team. Ultimately, if we'd have been flying under Nuno when we were at our very best, going to the Emirates Way would have been a thankless task at the best of times. I think I predicted 3-0 and then changed it because I couldn't bring myself to do it and made up 0-0 as I remember. I couldn't predict the Forest loss like that. I think he sounded very impressive. I would say something, talk is cheap, and that's not me being critical. He's saying the right things. I have to confess, I quite follow England rugby, and if you close your eyes, it was just Eddie Jones saying the same things like he used to for England, and not just the accent, it's exactly the bombastic, come on mate, we're going to go and show them kind of thing that Aussies do, isn't it? As you know, so I'm going to wait and see. It was classic Eddie Jones style, but obviously this time it's not posh, what's his face, Postecoglou. I just wait. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, and I know that because I've eaten a lot of pudding. So we will see in the near. Well, it has made Wednesday very interesting, like Kate said. I think he's going to have to make some changes, but I don't think it was going to be as wholesale as normal. I don't think there'll be anybody playing that hasn't got a chance of playing in the next Premier League game, if that makes sense, if they impress. Obviously, this is a different thing. We cannot lose next Sunday, so he's also got to have that in the back of his mind, because that brings up the big R word, doesn't it, for the future? But anyway, that's where I stand on him. He sounds very impressive, but let's wait and see. I love the things he's been saying, and I've warmed to him, but let's wait and see.
Yeah, for the benefit of our podcast listeners, Chels and Kate were absolutely pissing themselves laughing at Mollo's attempt at an Aussie accent. So I think I might have to put that one out on social media as well, Mollo. Sorry.
It took me a while to figure out which accent it was for a minute there, Mollo.
It's the Welsh, Aussie, Frenchman type thing.
All right, let's get on to the Arsenal game then. It was a difficult week. I don't think anybody would have expected, given the circumstances, to come out of the game against Arsenal with anything other than a defeat. I think realistically we just needed to put in a decent performance, and I'm not convinced we actually did even that, to be honest. So as normal, we go through and each of us gives a couple of takeaways. So we'll start with you this time, Kate, mate. What are your couple of takeaways from the game? I'm sorry, I'm not going to carry on saying mate throughout the whole episode.
I'm not going to do an Aussie accent, so. Takeaways from the game. You cannot talk about this game without mentioning the M word, and I am not talking Marinakis, I am talking Morato. Do you know, yes, I am warming to Ange, I'm feeling the positives, but that team sheet is on Ange. And we were on the tube with a carriage full of Arsenal fans when that dropped on our phones. And we looked at it and went, Morato, Sangare, we are okay, which one of the Arsenal fans picked up on that was sat nearby and started having a little chuckle to himself. And we had a nice little bit of banter back and forth. And he was saying, you know, we're always concerned about the new manager bounce. We often fall foul of that. But having seen the lineup, I'm a lot less concerned. And I felt that we were out of that game from the moment I read that team sheet. I didn't like it. And then we went on to play exactly how I expected us to play, having seen that team sheet, which was difficult to swallow. And just spoken a lot about you can't fault the players. I thought the players looked a little bit lost. I thought they looked very, very messy. And I thought before he went off injured, which, by the way, is a whole lot worse than losing 3-0 to Arsenal at the Emirates, seeing Murillo limp off, I thought he looked really annoyed. I don't think he was happy. Now, whether he was happy because he was having to do too much or whether he was unhappy with the way they were lining up, or I don't know, but we were very close to him and he did not look happy, which is a concern.
Is that Murillo, Kate, you're talking about?
Murillo, yeah. So there is absolutely no shame in losing 3-0 to Arsenal at the Emirates. I am concerned about some of the elements of the performance, which is why we really do need to bounce back against Swansea, and why I do expect to see some of those players in the starting lineup on Wednesday, because they need it. They need to play under Ange. They need to increase their confidence. They need to put that behind them with a game.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Question, I'm not sure.
Yeah, to be fair to the manager, though, he did say he didn't want to disrupt things too much, given the turmoil of the week, if you like, and he wanted to just let them play. And if they've been preparing with Morato as a fullback in an emergency case, and from what you read in the media, that's what they have been doing, then I can kind of understand where he was coming from a little bit. However, I do want to highlight my first takeaway, Kate, if you don't mind, before we move on to your others, in that, for me, it just reaffirmed the need to fit round pegs into round holes, given the performance of Morato, who got absolutely torn to shreds.
Of course he did.
I don't really know what else anyone would have expected, to be honest. Now, they did look a little bit better when the change was made. Unfortunate change, I have to say, when Morato moved into his more natural role and Williams moved across and Savona came on right back. I think they looked more structured and Madueke was kept relatively quiet, certainly the rest of the first half from that point. So I think from a structural point of view, that change was successful, but obviously not successful in the terms of the whole game. And the other point I was going to make here was that it was great to see Savona make his debut, but it's clear he needs minutes. I thought he was reasonably solid in the first half especially, but then early in the second he got caught out a little bit, where I know you texted Mollo, didn't you, and said, why would he just let that ball go over his head? Surely he should have been in a position to head it away. And yeah, it was a mistake, unfortunately, early on the second half, and that pretty much sealed the game. But he's young, he's being integrated into a new country and a new team. And one of the best ways to do that is by having minutes. So we'll see on Wednesday, Kate. Sorry, carry on.
No, that is one of my positives in terms of takeaways, is that he did put the subs on earlier at a time when they could impact the game. That was something that he did that I liked, because we've moaned a little bit about Nuno not doing that. You know, we were getting around that 60-minute mark and changes were being made. That, for me, was a positive. I felt for Savona because in general, I think he did all right. I think he improved the game, but yeah, he did give away that goal.
I've got another takeaway, which I will do so just to get me done in that sense, in that 0 minutes for Douglas Luiz again. And you've got to feel sorry for the poor guy in terms of what has he got to do to get on the pitch. Now, there could be various reasons. It could be a fitness thing. He's not played certainly not played 90 minutes since February, I believe. It could be a personality thing. It could be numerous reasons we're not aware of. But at some point, he's got to get on that field. Now, for me, Wednesday might be the ideal opportunity, depending on what kind of team he sets out, but also whether he wants how much does he want that change in personnel. But any concern with you guys around Douglas Luiz not getting on the pitch at all yet?
Not at all. I think come to my takeaways, mate. I watched the game back on TV again today before coming on, and it appeared like he was going to come on, but there was a change of heart because of the situation in the game. And obviously Yatesy and Co came on. So I think we'll find out on Wednesday, but it appeared to me he's saving him for Wednesday. And the facial expressions, the body language of Douglas Luiz didn't seem negative, like, oh, for goodness sake. I get the feeling he's been said, mate, this game's gone. I want you fit and ready and firing for mate on Wednesday. That's the appearance. That's all I would say. And the other problem I have with Douglas Luiz at the moment is he is now Zico and Pele rolled into one at the moment in everyone's head, isn't he? The rubbish that's been going around social media. He has got to live up to some billing at the moment. I feel for the guy. He goes out there and has a steady game. It isn't better than, say, Anderson, who we all know is the best midfielder on the planet right now. Then he could be struggling.
Yeah, I did want to echo a point you just made about his body language when he sat on the bench. The cameras did pan to him, didn't they, at some point in that second half, and he was quite chatty and animated, and he didn't give the impression of somebody who was sat there sulking because he wasn't getting on the pitch. So I did pick up on that as well, which is a decent sign, I suppose. Mollo, seeing as you were on, did you want to come to your takeaways? Chels, we'll get to you in a moment, of course. We haven't forgotten.
Just to reiterate everything everyone else has said, Morato is not a left-back, which we already knew. Having watched the game back again, and you read stuff on social media, I don't think he was that bad once he went to centre-back at all. Steady, solid, did his job. Not the perfect partnership, is it, with Milenkovic? I think my takeaway is what I said going into the game. What happens if we lose a centre-back for any length of time? It's a big drop-off from Murillo to the next man up. And personally, I'd have brought Bolly on at that point, experience, etc., but that's another thing. But my main takeaway is probably, and it's going to sound so negative, especially after last week, and watching the game back, because I didn't want to say anything without being sure about it, and Darren Fletcher said it, and Ali McCoy was saying it. The game, they used the phrase that was perfect, the game passed Sangare by. He covered a lot of ground to arrive a second or two too late, a yard too late. When the game is quick, he's been struggling. You know my mind's made up now, if I'm honest, because this sort of midfielder bottles a tackle. And I think Kate's nailed it. Murillo was absolutely raging at times. He had no protection in front of him if Anderson wasn't there. He was okay on the ball most of the time. He can pass the ball simply, apart from when he's got to try and thread it through to a guy who's through on goal when he fluffs it. But it was a waste of a shirt, and that's where Luiz could have maybe come on earlier, or Yatesy came on and did nothing wrong, and he got fouled a few times, and was, in fact, they gave a free kick against Yatesy, and he was clean through to have a shot from the edge of the area, which wasn't a foul. At the time, I thought it was, but seeing it back, I realised it wasn't. We've got a big problem in the middle of that midfield because our midfield is Anderson. That also brings me to my second takeaway. And this is kind of a takeaway on the back of watching it back and the things I've read since. The criticism and the nature of the criticism, not just the fact that he didn't have his best game, but the level of criticism and almost abuse that I've seen about Morgan Gibbs-White is disgusting and embarrassing. He didn't have his best game, but he did create our best chance and nearly score. He didn't get the shot off quick enough and the tackle half came in, so he hit it wide. And I've read people saying he looks like he can't be bothered. I've just watched the whole game back on telly, and he's still covering all that ground. He's still getting forward. He might not have the most amazing body language when we're struggling. I accept that. But look at his running meters and stuff. I think I can't get my head around it. Whether it's because he nearly went, I don't know. And then McAtee came on, who I think is going to be a terrific player, but he's clearly not ready yet. And all he did was give the ball away, and then make a few okay passes. I'm not knocking him for that. He's not ready yet. But you got one number 10 off who people complain gave the ball away too much. He did one of his flicks, didn't he? That's what it is. People nail that. And McAtee came on, did some nice simple stuff here and there, got caught in possession, easily give the ball away. I'm just like, it's Arsenal away. It's not going to work out brilliantly for us anyway. Everything that was going against us could go against us before we went there. Their cheating left-back managed to get away with the most blatant yellow card at the start of the game, raking his studs down. And Doy, and he seems to get away with whatever he likes, the old Italian mentality, I suppose. And everything that could go against us, up to kick-off, has gone against us. I agree with Kate, the left-back situation, and dare I say, is Sangare. Sangare is no John McGovern. Let's be clear about this. People criticised John McGovern back in the day, or who would be another one? Brain's gone. A Scott Gemmell or whatever. He is none of those things. He's a guy that when the game is slow, looks the part. But he's a guy that when the game is up against quality, move the ball quickly, gets there a yard too late. Thankfully, Anderson managed to shore up a lot of that midfield at times and played like 1.5 men, really. That's my takeaway. We've got to sort out that. I'm not talking about the number 6 position. I don't buy into all that. I'm talking about having 2 high-quality centre mids. We've already got one in Anderson. We know what Yates can do. We don't know what Douglas Luiz can do at the moment. We know what he has done in the past. I don't understand why that he's still getting the nod. He must look brilliant in training is all I can say.
I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
Trying to lose weight? It's time to try Hers. At forhers.com/4u, you can access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss treatments tailored just for you. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full upfront. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims and Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply.
I mean, to be fair, Sangare is a Nuno person, isn't he? Very much so. Now we've got a new manager, and on the back of not wanting to disrupt the team too much, you can understand why he was in that game, but maybe a new manager sees things from a different perspective and a different viewpoint and has a different opinion. Time will tell on that one.
My worry about it, not my worry, my thoughts on that are every single Forest fan on telly and in the ground and the commentators and everybody could see he was struggling his way out of his depth, and he stayed on the pitch till the 28th minute or something. Those early subs Kate talked about were all very positive and nice, but the one that needed to be made, the one that happened was by mistake because of the injury, but the one that needed to be made after that never got made till the 78th minute. That sounds super harsh, but he's definitely had a good look at him, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, coming to you now, Chels. What were your thoughts on the game, and any particular points of interest you want to raise?
I mean, I'm echoing what everybody else said anyway, but it was just that feeling of when you're watching it just disjointed and disorganised, and it just felt like you could tell that we had our old squad, newbies coming in, which, to be fair, they, I was quite impressed with the newbies coming on anyway. I think Calamundo, he looked sharp, McAtee looked progressive. I was impressed with him, but it felt like, even with Nuno in charge, I would have put us down to lose against Arsenal. Did Ange just think, right, I just want to see how these players play, trial and error, see what they've got, who's got what in the bag, where I think they could be placed, all ready to go for Wednesday? Was that his plan all along? I'm not sure. Wednesday will tell. But for me, it was just, nothing seemed to be working. Everyone looked lost. Yeah, it felt like everyone knew their job, but no one knew where to do their job. And I think that was the main takeaway for me anyway. And my second takeaway was just how bloody fantastic Anderson is. You just watching him play, the energy, the passion. He is so precise, and he's just a phenomenal player, and we're so lucky to have him.
That's a nice segue into the next section I wanted to talk about. Normally we talk about things on the back of a good performance, for example. We like to talk about things that we could improve on. But conversely, on the back of a bad performance, we try and look for the positives. So this is where I want you guys to share your positives, what went well, what didn't, things to look out for, things they should be addressing. And you mentioned Anderson there, which leads me to my first positive, in that, is he now the most important player in that NFFC team? I mean, previously we've all said Morgan Gibbs-White is the key that makes us tick. Has Anderson now taken over that role, and is he the most important player on the pitch now for Forest? What do you guys think? Anybody can chip in here.
Combination of the two is the most important thing. If they both play well, we know what happens. Just ask Brentford.
I think I've heard, like Mollo said, a lot of negative stuff around Morgan, and I absolutely don't agree. He is still an incredibly important player for our side. And I've heard loads of people say we need to drop him. Absolutely don't drop him. No. He needs to play himself back into form. He needs to get a little bit of confidence. I don't believe that he doesn't want to be here. I don't believe any of that. He is here. He's a great player. We need to back him. Anderson is phenomenal at the moment. He is an informed player, shining in bad games, both for Forest and some bad games for England that he also shone in. I heard on Door Tour, they were saying that he did 2 roles, maybe even 3 roles in that game, which Mollo's already sort of mentioned. He absolutely did. He's there, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere man, wasn't he? And like Chels said, absolutely love having him in our side. But if we do think back to Brentford, and I remember saying, when everybody's fit, when everybody's in form, we're so good. That's an everybody thing. That's not just an Anderson thing. And it is definitely inclusive of Gibbs-White.
You need to be careful he doesn't get injured and hurt his back carrying Sangare as well.
Yeah, I agree with everything you've said there around Gibbs-White. He needs to keep playing. He needs to recapture that form.
Memories, though, Simon, aren't there? A lot of short memories, because he has, every season we've had him, every single season he's played, he tends to have a slightly slow start to a season. It just happens he had a great game at the start of this season. Last season against Southampton away, everyone was saying he needs to come off. And people said, well, he just weren't that one moment of magic, and of course he scored. He always seems to start the season slowly and build into it. Now, I'm not suggesting we need to wait for him forever, but the rubbish I've read and heard this week really frustrates me. And he had a better passing completion percentage than McAtee, who would be his natural replacement anyway.
Yeah.
And don't forget. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah, no, I feel like with Morgan Gibbs-White, he is a fantastic player. I think sometimes he just tries to play too hard. I think his own natural ability is so fantastic. He doesn't need to try to be more than what he is. And I think that's where he can slip up and can make some of the mistakes. I think he just needs to relax into it, realise what a fantastic player he really is, and just be free on that pitch and just do what he does best.
Yeah, I agree.
He's a rhythm player, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. And don't forget that he was playing against Arsenal, who are one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
No team is going to go there and find it easy. So you've got to consider that as well. What about any other points any of you want to raise around? Were there any other positives? We've mentioned Anderson. And what about the rest of the team?
We don't have to go there again. It's a positive.
And like somebody said, if there's one or two teams we don't want to play, it's Arsenal, Man City away at any time of the season, really. It's just they're our kind of bogeyman. And at least we played it when we were probably going to be crap anyway, while the situation we're in, everything going against us. So people are reading way too much into it. But like you say, we wouldn't have won there anyway, probably. So not them accepting defeat, but people saying about a lack of effort anywhere on the pitch is rubbish. Absolute rubbish, watching it back.
Probably, in hindsight, the best time to play Arsenal away then, wasn't it?
In some ways, yeah.
Because you're not necessarily losing points in a game that you might have thought been expected to win and didn't. Sorry, go on, Chels.
No, I just said that we lost only by 3 and not 4, because it is one of them situations when you do, like you said, Arsenal away. Even with Nuno, it was always going to be the case. So why not get it out of the way and done with now?
Look at that opening goal. Look at that opening goal.
Yeah.
We were at the time. We were just like, you can't criticise it. We cleared a fantastic corner. Okay, it was unmarked, but as soon as he hit it, as he was shaping up to hit it, I think that could be going over the bar. And then when he hit it and it flew in the back of the net, and I saw the replays on the big screen, I just thought, fair play, hands up.
No one was
hands up to him. It was a great strike. What were you guys, you were there, what were you thinking at the time in terms of just how well he struck that? It was almost like he didn't even have time to blink, did you, before it went in?
We were sat right behind the goal and it made me want to duck.
I just want to pick up on something else you said there, Kate, about not having to do that again this season. You know now that we're going to get drawn against them away in one of the cups.
This is not the league.
Yeah. But before we move on to Mollo's moment, anyone else want to bring up anything else in terms of potential positives?
Yeah, I'm going to say, you've already touched on it, the right back. He's very athletic. For a tall guy, he can sprint. Weirdly can't head it at the moment for a 6'4" guy, but I'm sure that'll come. And watching, even at the time I felt it, once, if he was part of a back four he'd been part of for a while, there's no way he was that deep and the offside is given it. All the replays I've seen, he looked offside anyway. I'm sure it wasn't, because they can't possibly get that wrong anymore on BAL. They would have been in a line, he would have been offside, or he would have dropped quicker and headed it. So his overall performance was quite promising, and what a baptism of fire. And Nico as well. I didn't realise how good a game he had until I watched it back, because they were running both sides, but down his side a lot, and he intercepted an awful lot. You're not going to win every single one-on-one, but he won more than his fair share. And the commentators mentioned it as well, to be fair. So there's the positives. And as Kate said, we haven't got to play him again.
Right, okay. Mollo's moment then. What's this week's Mollo's moment?
Well, for once, it's not going to involve Anderson directly. I thought long and hard about this, because credit where it's due, because they are some of the most boring fans out there normally, but Arsenal did throw some quite good banter about it, especially because of the ex-Spurs manager. However, for me, what would have been like a goal like no other I've ever seen was Chris Wood's chest over the keeper. He absolutely meant it as well. What an incredible piece of skill that was. And I hadn't realised until I watched it on a replay, the keeper got a touch on it. Unbelievable. Yeah. It would have gone in. What an unbelievable effort. At the time, I just thought it hit the bar and thought, wow. Watching it back again, I'm just like, who does that? That's incredible. So that was the best. It wasn't much, it was slim pickings, but that was definitely the moment for me.
I thought your Mollo's moment was when you and the family were interviewed by TNT Sports beforehand, because we've had one media star on our podcast, and we now have another, don't we, Mollo? How was your experience being interviewed by TNT?
It was very nice people, good banter. I thought they'd cut out my Jamie Carragher comment, but they didn't, which was nice. It was good. Obviously, it's just a coincidence. They wanted to interview Ellie, and she rang them and said, "Yeah, we're coming down. My mum, my dad, and my brother." He said, "Oh, we'll interview them all." So we stood in a line, made myself look as thin as possible for the cameras, and because all my family is short, I was the tallest one there, so it was all good. But no, it was good. It was good fun.
What was your comment about Jamie Carragher? Because I missed it, unfortunately.
I think the question was about Marinakis, and I said something along the lines of best owner in the Premiership. I wouldn't swap him, despite what likes of Jamie. I should have said Gary Neville as well, really, but it's likes of Jamie Carragher. It was on my mind about Jamie Carragher spouting off with the most hated club in the universe, or whatever he's coming out with. I mean, coming from a Scouser, that's just incredible, especially one who spits at little girls. But anyway, sorry.
Well, there's no way TNT are going to turn down a dig at one of their rivals' employees, are they?
I guess so. But that we were basically very supportive of what's going on. We made our point that we're gutted about what's happened with Nuno, but we get behind the next man. And then he said a weird thing at the end. He goes, "So you're all Team Ange?" I'm like thinking, that's a bit of a weird thing to say, because we're Team Forest. It just happens that that's our next manager.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we've had Kate and Mollo appear on the media recently. Chelsea, you next?
Pressure's on.
Honestly, I keep thinking we're going to be known as Kate and Mollo, and then the other two. That's what's going to happen.
At least you're not known as Ellie's dad.
No, Chelsea will be known as Kev's daughter, because he appears on Door.
Honestly, it will be. Oh, God.
Yeah, go on then, Chelsea. Who's your man of the match? I know we have to pick one, and it's difficult on the back of a 3-0 loss, but we have to choose somebody, so who are you going to go for?
The beautiful specimen of a man that is in midfield is Anderson. Thank you very much.
Right, okay. I thought you were going to say Sangare, but glad you didn't.
No, that's Kate.
Kate, who's yours?
I don't know how you can pick anybody else. So I never said something. Elliot Anderson, of course.
For them.
Yeah, Mollo.
The only person who performed anywhere near, capability. Probably the best player on the pitch, ironically, was Anderson.
Yeah, and any other day I would normally go with you guys, but I'm not this week. I'm going with Murillo purely because I know he went off injured, but up to the point he went off injured, he was keeping Forest in the game. He was absolutely everywhere, and I think he deserves some recognition for that effort. Yeah, it was a big shame, and we don't know what difference it would have made to the overall score had he stayed on the pitch for the whole game. His contribution was outstanding whilst he was on, so I want to give him a little bit of recognition for that. So I'm going to go for Murillo. How many minutes did he play? 20-odd, 30-odd in the end?
30.
Yeah, good. The good news is Postecoglou's come out today saying that he thinks it's just a knock and hopefully he'll be available for a game in the foreseeable future, whether that's Wednesday or Saturday.
Well, I did think that when he came on at the end. I mean, he was limping when he came on and clapped the fans, but I thought if that was serious, they wouldn't let him back on the pitch to limp about. They'd be off on a stretcher, getting a scan, whatever. So I did think actually that's, as much as it was sad to see him limping, I did think it's a positive that he's wonderful.
Absolutely spot on.
Might have been lost in the language barrier. Just a little knock in Australia means your head's fallen off, isn't it?
Right. It's half time in the show and it's time for our weekly quiz. Kate, what have you got for us this week, please?
Okay. So this is about penalties, which is in no way related to the fact that we have a cup tie coming up on Wednesday. So who has scored the most penalties for Nottingham Forest?
Whatever in the history.
Did it include penalty shootouts? I presume not.
No.
Right, okay. I've got somebody in my mind. Let's hold that for the end of the show. And Kate, it's not Taiwo Wanyi. This is the answer to this question. Right, pause that one then. We'll come back to that at the end of the show. Chels, you've got our usual FPL updates. How are we all getting on?
I have. Right. Let me just... Sorry, I need to get this up. There we go. Right, so I'm going to start with you, Mollo. No, before I start with Mollo, did anybody use any bench boost? Any what? Oh.
Yeah, I used my wild card.
Wild card.
2 wild cards this week. Mollo's just shaking his head going, no.
Hence what the points total was.
But
yeah, it was.
Mollo, you did go up to 14th place. And
I love Semenyo.
I'll tell you what, I need to put him in my team. I'm going to play my wild card this week because I've had a mare of a week again. But anyway, that's beside the point. So, Mollo, you've gone up to 14th place. You got 71 points, though.
Wow.
So you didn't...
That was mostly... of course. I forgot about Haaland yesterday and whatnot.
I was going to say, yeah. I was going to say,
I'll take that.
You captained him, didn't you? You got 26 points just from Haaland. Yeah. And Muggins over here, which is me, I've dropped to 26th place with only 56 points. So there's Mollo moaning at his 71, and I've got 56. And really annoyingly, I forgot to make Salah my captain. I forgot to do that. So that just, ticks me off just a little bit. Yeah, but I'm playing my wild card. I think I'm going to sack Salah off because he's doing my head in, and I'm going to put Haaland in. So that's what I'm going to do. But Kate, you stayed in 9th place. Consistency is key. You got 69 points. And then Simon, you went up to 24th place, so you are now beating me. And you got 66 points this week. So a very big round of applause to you. So I am at the bottom of our little mini league of the 4 of us. But, that's okay. I'll just cry about it later. In top pole position for our Tricky Talks podcast league is Ian Mines. Okay, is there a relation there?
That is my brother, and he did play. Absolutely flowing because he came to Arsenal with me as well, and he showed me his phone, and he's literally at the top of every league that he's in. He was like, I was like,
okay. Oh, I do.
There's no sibling rivalry there.
Yeah, exactly.
so happy for him. I'm so proud.
Okay, he got 87 points and he played his bench boost as well.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Yeah, and then at the bottom we have Gemma Baxter, who actually got 71 points this week. So, yeah.
Yeah, in her defence, she's also one of mine. She came in late. Like, she didn't have any points for the first week because she hadn't even done a team. So I don't know if that affects things. So she joined the league late and she didn't have a team in this week. So, yeah, she'll be all right.
Oh, bless her, yes.
Is that any relation to Dean Baxter?
That is a relation to Dean Baxter, yeah.
Because Dean Baxter, was he quite near the top, Chels, at one point?
Let's have a look. I think he was. I can't see where he is on our league.
I'm sure you've read his name out before because I confused him with your Dean, didn't I?
Yes, you did, yes. No, I can't see him near the top at the moment. Maybe he had an off week.
Are you beating your Dean, by the way, Chels?
Let's not talk about that, Simon. We don't need to have that. I most certainly am not beating him. And don't worry, he reminds me about it every day. That's great. But yes, we've got the top scorers this week as well. Now, here we go with my pronunciations, people. Zubimendi? We're going to say that? Yes. So, obviously, he done that fantastic goal against us, but we won't speak about that. We've already spoken about that. He got 16 points. Van de Ven with 14, and then Haaland and Semenyo with 13 points.
Yeah, I left Van de Ven on my bench.
Oh.
Could have been so lot better.
My bench is full of injured players, so I'm trying to gradually swap them over.
Mine too, Mollo.
So bench boost would have got me naught.
But I'm playing my wild card this week, people, so watch this space for next week.
Are you done, Chelsea? Is that it? Anything else?
Yeah, no, all good. FPL update for this week.
Excellent. Right, on to Swansea then. We won't do our normal preview because we're obviously not being familiar. It's not a Premier League game. We're not that familiar with Swansea in terms of their personnel, but we'll start off with what sort of team would you pick out? We've touched on it already. Mollo mentioned, I think, maybe the opportunity for wholesale changes. Kate, you're not so sure. So we'll go around each of us. Who would you play, Kate? Would you put many of the new players in, or would you keep it status quo for now? What are your thoughts?
So I've written down that I would start Morgan. I would start Nico. I'm a bit about Chris Wood. If we're sticking with him, I would start Sangare. Just because I think, as I said previously, they need to play. They need to play under Ange. Hopefully it should be an easier game than Arsenal, shouldn't it? Maybe a little bit of confidence, maybe a goal here and there. And we're playing ourselves back into some form. And that would be my reasoning. I would rest Sal's. I would rest Anderson. So I am thinking a bit of a mix. I would start on Doy. I am thinking a real mix of what we might class as our starting 11 and definitely some more minutes off the bench for some of those other people. But I think it's important for Ange. I think it's important for the fan base. I think it's important for the team that we win this game and we win this game well.
Yeah. What about you, Mollo? Would you hinted earlier that you would expect a lot of changes? Are you still convinced, or has Kate managed to change your mind?
When I say changes, I don't mean in terms of squad. I think everybody who started on the bench at Arsenal should start the game if they can fit in. I think Zinchenko, if he's fit, needs to play. My worry if Sangare plays is when he gets outplayed by David Carmo, who we let go for peanuts, people will start asking questions. It is him we send to Swansea that they're raving about. Swansea fans are raving about him, aren't they? Yeah, absolutely. I think never before. Obviously, we saw it when we came up. I watched Ipswich v Sheffield United the other night on TV, and suddenly certain players looked fantastic again that were rubbish in the Premier League. Like that garbage left back, Leif Davies, suddenly looked like a footballer again. And that just shows you, doesn't it, the step up in level is enormous. But getting back on it, Anderson's a tricky one because he's in such a groove and rhythm. I'd consider giving him an hour. Risky as that may sound, just because you don't want to upset his rhythm. I agree with you about Morgan potentially. I think the lads who came on all deserve a shot. Particularly, they're both French, but Bakwa and Callum Wendo. Everyone was raving about Bakwa on the internet. And when I watched the game back, he did do well. But Callum Wendo was the one that I looked at and thought, ooh, they've both definitely got something, to be fair. So I would change quite a lot. Yates or Bolly would be my captain. Obviously, Yates if he's on the pitch. But I do think, and I know we'll be doing another show soon, I do think he's got to have one eye on Burnley, because if we lose that, the big R word starts being mentioned then, doesn't it? 3 defeats on the trot and so on. Not that I think we will. So for me, get all the lads on the bench. Was Zach Abbott on the bench? I can't remember. I've forgotten what the bench was.
I can't remember.
I think Zach Abbott probably should play, ideally in his proper position if they don't want to use one of the other centre-backs at the moment. Excuse me. Nico, I think that's the one I definitely do disagree with. That guy needs a rest. He did the work of 3 men as well on that left-hand side and right-hand side at the start with everyone that was running at him. And we can't afford to lose him to a game that's not as important either, I suppose. So, yeah, I'd say 7 or 8 changes got to be, including the keeper, like you said.
Right, how many are you going for, Chels? Are you swapping the whole 11, or are you sticking to minimal changes, or somewhere in between?
Somewhere in between. I'd rest Chels. I would definitely start Yates. I do think this is a game for Yates. I really do. Yeah, I would start Bolly as well. I think, you know what Bolly's like. It's called calm and collected. He comes in, does his business and goes home. And that's what you need in a game like that. I just think we've spent a lot of money, and I think we've got a lot of hungry newbies, and I think just unleash them all. Just absolutely go for it and just see what happens. Why not?
Hutchinson.
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
I was going to say that I saw a picture posted on social media of Ange with his arm around what looked like Amari Hutchinson, I think.
Yeah.
And Hutchinson was reciprocating, and they looked really like as if he was giving him an arm round the shoulder to give him some much needed confidence after being removed from or not included, I should say, in the Europa League squad.
Yep.
And if he does make a lot of changes and Hutchinson is not in the starting lineup, imagine what that must do for the lad's confidence.
Yeah.
So I think Hutchinson is going to be a good bet to start. I think it'd be good to see some of the other players who haven't yet played 90 minutes, the likes of McAtee, Cali Muendo, Bikwa, to name a few, Douglas Luiz we've mentioned. I don't know how you can include them all, because I think if you're the manager wanting to implement your style, you're not going to then turn around and make wholesale changes and implement this style for a load of players who aren't going to play every week necessarily in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So you're going to want some of your core players to learn that new style as soon as possible, and he's keen to do that, as we heard earlier. So I was kind of, when I thought about this, the answer to this question was, I was like Chelsea, I'd like to see as many of the new players play as possible to give them the minutes, but backing up what Kate said earlier, I'm now not so sure. I think it might be a good mixture of the two, just simply because I don't think he can afford to now in order to get his style of play implemented on the team sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And it also depends on what priority they are giving to this tournament as well. In our pre-season predictions, I said that this was one they could easily go and win, but they've got to get the right squad to do that, I think. And again, I'm not sure if they can do that, making 11 changes from the weekend, but we shall see. Which leads me on to the next thing. So this is where we decide why Forest will win and what would stop them from winning. And this week I've given the why Forest would win to you, Chels, and you, Mollo. So please tell the listeners, we'll start with you, Chels, why you think Forest will win against Swansea.
Because they have to. I mean, we've spent 140 million, I think it is, around about that ballpark. If we let our football do the talking, and we give our players the freedom to do so, and we put the huge amount of effort like we do, I can't see us losing, if I'm honest. And I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but there is a different level of performance between us and Swansea. I just think with the team that we have, newbies as well as, I can't see us losing. I mean, if we played like how we did against West Ham, then yes, I can see it. But I'm not gonna go down that road. But yes, that's why I think that we'll win.
Okay, over to you, Mollo.
I think you can look at the tactics, everything else. Their best player is a guy that could never get a game for us, that we practically gave them for pence in
Yeah.
football terms. So on paper, we all know it doesn't work like that. We have, as Chelsea said, the quality that should, in theory, be enough. So that's why I'm saying we should and hopefully will win. Hopefully comfortably.
Okay, so Kate, the previous week we were hammered by the Hammers. On Saturday we were gunned down by the Gunners. Does this mean on Wednesday we're going to be swanned by Swansea? Or should that be sunk by Swansea?
I don't know.
Swans.
Your gags are going up the Swanee.
I would say that we could lose this game by making too many changes and nobody having a clue what they're doing. I would say the underdog cup shock could give Swansea a little bit of extra gumption. There's a word I've not used for a long time. They are, potentials that we could lose. What a great story that would be. Forest lose, to West Ham, then Arsenal, then Swansea. God, you can see it now, can't you? Although it probably get us back on telly, Mollo. So, there's always that. But yeah, that would be my concern. Too many changes, too much uncertainty, coupled with that, classic cup shock underdog mentality.
Yeah, I've got exactly the same thing. Swansea going to be well up for it. If he puts too many of these new players in, would never have played together, and you do wonder if they're going to gel. Not getting used to the system was something else. If they're trying to implement a new system with new players, is that really going to work? And that could actually be applied to anybody who plays, not just if he makes wholesale changes. And rust, if there are players playing who haven't yet played much this season, are they going to be rusty? So lots of potential reasons why there could be a cup shock, but hopefully there won't be. So on that note, let's have your predictions. We'll start with you, Chels. What is your predictions for the game, if you dare?
All my family take the mickey out of me for this when I do my predictions, because this is all I put for mostly every game, but it's just my safety net of 2-1 Forest.
Mollo.
I'm hoping, because we're the only Wednesday night game, we're live on telly, like Kate said, that could be a bad thing, and very poor away following at the moment, which is completely understandable, because any Forest fan that goes to games at the moment is verging on bankruptcy. 2-0 Forest.
Kate?
I think we're going to go 1-0 down and then win 4-1.
Wow.
Confidence. I'd love that. Love it if it happens.
You heard it here first.
And I think we're going to win it on penalties. I think it'll be a 0-0, and it'll be a penalty shootout, because there's no extra time, is there, in the Carabao Cup, I believe. So I think it'll be going to penalties. And are either of you going, Kate or Mollo, or are you not making the trip this time, given that it's Wales on a midweek Wednesday night?
I'm struggling, to be honest. I'm still making a late decision, depending on what's happening at work, if I can fill the car up, to be fair. But with Betis next week, Newcastle tickets today, everything else that's going on, I've got no cash left, literally.
It is an easy one to miss, isn't it? I have to admit. Kate, are you going?
No, I'm not.
It's hard.
It would be the sort of thing that I would do, but with a trip to Spain the following week, I think I'm just going to stick with that away game for the next fortnight. Oh no, I'm going to Burnley, so that's another one.
Yeah, no brainer really, isn't it? So okay, right, we're coming towards the end of the show, Kate. Back to you. We're going to guess the answer to your quiz question, aren't we? And I think I've got in my mind who it is, but I'll let the others have a go first.
Go ahead.
I've got 3 in my mind.
Yeah, so have I.
2 from the exact same era. Yeah. We both took free kicks as well. But then...
Yeah, I've got 3 in my mind, and again, 2 of those are from the same era. I wonder if they're the same.
I think, right, it's a toss-up for me between... If I say them both, it doesn't matter, does it? Robbo and Psycho. I'm going to go... Did Psycho take penalties when he first signed? No. But he played 500 games, didn't he? That's the thing. Robbo paid 400. Didn't get penalties so easy back then, did you? Because you had to attack them with an axe to get a penalty. I'm going to go... Stuart Pearce. This is definitely the hardest question you've done so far.
Good.
I'm going to go John Robertson.
That was my first thought as well.
Those were the two I had in my mind, but Nigel Clough was kind of niggling away as well. Was he your third one, Mollo?
Yeah.
And I went through a thought process of, well, Robertson was my initial instinct, and I normally go on instinct or a gut feeling. But then, like you say, when I ran through it as we were going through the rest of the podcast, I was thinking, well, Stuart Pearce, like you, has played far more many games.
It's Robbo, isn't it?
And I don't remember Psycho missing too many, so I'm going to go Stuart Pearce as well.
Ooh.
Go on, Kate. Put us out of our misery.
It was Stuart Pearce. I know.
Undefeated.
Penalties for us. So, pretty good.
Do you know how many, Kate? Can we get a bonus point if we guess the nearest to how many, if you know it?
Well, I just told you.
Oh, I didn't hear. I didn't hear, sorry. How many was it?
18.
18. He scored 18.
It's not
Really?
bad,
I thought it was more than that.
Well, he scored 99 goals, didn't he? So that's 1 in 5 from the spot. Probably scored about 20 free kicks as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably did.
Yeah.
Right, that brings this show to a close. Any final thoughts? Start with you, Chels.
I just want to mention Dominguez. Is he back next month? I believe. Was there mention of it? I know it's been a bit quiet, but I would just like to say that I would be very, very happy to have him back in the squad. And I would just like to mention his name again, fingers crossed, because there was rumours about October, him coming back. So fingers crossed, all being well, that happens next month.
Okay, Kate, anything from you?
So yeah, I watched the Forest Women again this weekend. I watched them on YouTube. It was free. The WSL2 YouTube channel shows several free matches every week. It's not necessarily always going to be Forest, although so far they have shown them both. So I would say it's definitely worth a look when the Forest Women are playing. If you can't be there, have a look, WSL2 YouTube channel, and see if you can catch them, because it was a great game. We won. We should have scored more. Yeah. It was good, and it's free on YouTube. There you go.
Good stuff. Thanks, Kate. And finally, Mollo Molloson. And mate, what's your any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, stole my thunder there. I was going to mention a fine victory for the ladies. My final thoughts are: we go again, mate. It's what we do. We bring it on Wednesday night, an Aussie in Wales. You should be used to all those sheep. So good luck.
That's it. Thanks everyone for listening. We shall return with another podcast towards the end of the week where we'll review Swansea and look forward to a trip to Burnley. Thanks again, everyone. Speak to you soon.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.